There's no old bones like ours. Salut mes amis, je m'appelle Murray McLauchlan, like Schweichet or Chala, McLauchlan. Bienvenue à Montréal et à Walrus Talks. Merci à Shelley Ambrose et à la Fondation Walrus pour l'invitation à parler aujourd'hui. I'll keep my remarks brief because at 68 years old, you either have to pee soon or you do. In the 1970s, I toured Japan with Bruce Cockburn. We traveled all over the country, from Fukuoka in the south to Sapporo up on Hokkaido. It was a surreal experience in many ways, from a full-on Zen tea ceremony on the roof of the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo to looking out and seeing the mayor of Morioka in full top hat, tails, and sash and medals sitting ceremoniously in the front row for our concert. Later on, we got roaring drunk with him, as a matter of fact, and he regaled us with tales of Rabelaisian revels. He and James Michener were buddies when Michener was there writing Sayonara. There's one thing I remember the most about that experience in Japan. In every town we played, there was, for want of a better word, a club dedicated to Canadian music. University students would come up after our concerts and ask me about artists that I thought would be completely unknown outside Canada. They'd come up and go, so what's Bruce Murdoch doing? What's Penny Lang doing? What's new with David Whiffen? These were people I thought would be completely unknown outside of Canada. When I asked them what their special particular interest was in Canadian music, they suggested that it was because it was unique and different from that which originated in the US or even the UK. Well, I had to admit that I agreed with what they said. The irony was that back in Canada, well, that was seen as an industrial drawback when the whole raison d'etre for making music was to get a hit in the States. But I have to say that those Japanese kids saw something in us that we often have difficulty seeing in ourselves. We are different. There's a wind that blows through us, and you can hear it in our music. It's no surprise that other than the extremely charismatic Monsieur Trudeau, the best-known Canadians internationally are all musical artists. And I say that with all due respect to our great painters, dancers, poets, comedians, and of course, writers. Mitchell, Cohen, Lightfoot, Young, Adams, Dion, Drake, who made the Six a household word. It's a huge list. All shaped in some way by the reality of coming up in Canada. A short while ago, my lovely wife, Denise, and I were having a cold beer on a hot day with a couple of friends in a little bar on the river in the middle of Singapore. The Malaysian kid, our waiter, came up after a while. He said, I couldn't help but overhear you talking. Are you from Canada? Yes, we're from Toronto, Denise added helpfully. Ah, you know Drake? Well, Canada punches way above its weight in musical creativity. In some ways, the old lions and lionesses of our music culture are as revered in Canada as the great poets are in Russia. There are few people in English-speaking Canada that don't know a few phrases of a Lightfoot song or can't sing the chorus of Four Strong Winds. And what other place has songs that have been so influenced by winter, from Gilles Vigneault's anthemic cry, Mon pays c'est l'hiver, to Joni Mitchell's forlorn urging in Urge for Going. When I say there's a wind blowing through us, what do I mean? Well, I feel that quality in my own music. I'm very conscious of it. We've never conquered Canada, although through our greed, neglect, and ignorance, we've worked pretty hard to screw it up sometimes. We exist here at the discretion of the land, like ticks on the ass end of a hound. It can and occasionally does bite us, just to remind us that we ain't so big. I think that is the source in our artists of a sense of deference, humility, wry humor maybe. You don't get very far in this country with an overblown ego, unless you happen to be running for the conservative leadership. Excusez-moi, excusez-moi. It is such a vast and varied place, with most of us huddled down by the U.S. border, that it engenders a feeling that, should you really want to, you can go out there, fall off the edge, and disappear. There is a giddy and slightly terrifying sense of psychological freedom that comes with that reality. You've never arrived. You're always becoming. Who but a Canadian could write, "There's a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in"? The way I put it, Canada ain't some cabinet man in the Rideau Club at election time. Canada is somewhere out there, out past the timberline. Well, the motto of the Order of Canada is, "They desire a better country." I guess that's the theme of these talks as well. Well, if life is a highway, like Tom Cochrane said, then a country might be a little bit like a car. Your foot might be on the gas, but keep an eye in the rearview mirror. If there are things in our past of which we're not proud, then we exercise some of that humility that our land teaches us, learn from those things, and we move forward confidently. In my town, Toronto, I have watched successive neighborhoods made vibrant by being colonized by artists. Then business and development follow, and the artists are driven out because they can't afford to live there anymore. Recently, I was dismayed to read that artists are now fleeing Toronto, period. Well, if those very places that spawn the creators that eventually rise to give us global prominence are destroyed, where will those artists come from? Perhaps unbridled development shouldn't be our only goal. Perhaps everything shouldn't be measured purely in terms of tax base and economic activity. Birds don't measure economically, but I, for one, like to hear them sing. And finally, if the land that we live in all its infinite variety and in all its power, shapes our artists, it follows that it shapes the rest of us too. I've walked it, freight trained it, worked it, flown airplanes over it, and been awed by it all my life. So, in closing, I would urge all Canadians to get out there and see what you're part of. And once you feel part of it all, go make its future. Merci, mes amis.